Alex Answer here, September 28th, 2016. This is going to be my updated off-grid vlog, and there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to cover. So I'll try to be brief and jump from one subject to another, cover some commonly asked questions. I don't talk about things that, I don't know anything about. So if you're interested in, certain dome homes and certain designs, there's channels for that. I'm more of a philosopher, and I've traveled to a lot of off-grid places in Colorado and a few other states, but not too many in the last couple of years, and traveled to some other places. So I've gotten a feel, also pulse, for where America is consciously right now, but also what it's like living off the grid in certain areas. In my Costilla County off-grid playlist series, which was recorded last year, documented a county cracking the whip and literally kicking people off their land that did not have a septic system. So I want to talk about some of the things that I've learned since then. One of the places that I'll start is the septic system. We have a backwater, old school way of looking at dealing with human waste. It needs to be updated. The technology's out there. The YouTube videos are out there. That these dry compost toilets, sometimes they cost about $500, sometimes $2,000. That's not connected to a wastewater system. That's independent from that. So they talk about, we're trying to protect the environment. So, you have certain districts and organizations, sometimes at the county level or the state level or in between or the federal level, and they have all these guidelines, and there are basic federal and state guidelines for getting a permit for a home, basically. And I've noticed since the Costilla County debacle that a lot of their land use code change proposals, or the land use changes of 2013, in some ways mirrored what the federal government's been pushing and or the state. It's not just certain counties. So there is, as I've said from day one, a war on off-the-grid living, especially those, like most of you, not all but most, that are extremely low income. I mean, how's the average person, put down $15,000 to get themselves an apartment, for example, in the city? It's first month, last month, even though rent is expensive. You don't got to put down $10,000, $15,000 in counties like Costilla and others, unless you do that and you go with the septic system that they are demanding and forcing. They won't let someone just be. So then the question comes up, well, is this legal? Is this not legal? If the people go, this is illegal, code is not law. What we still need, I've called for this, I'm echoing it again today, a national coalition, an off-grid coalition. People don't get co-opted in, Trump, Clinton, and all this nonsense, and maybe even keep some of the conspiracy stuff out of it as well. And a coalition regarding off-grid living. And an organization to where people that are being oppressed by their county can go to a legal institution that particularly specializes in off-grid, private land use right cases. That's what I saw with Costilla County being at the forefront of it and documenting it, the only videographer. It's not that I wanted that, it's how it ended up, not that some of the people appreciated it. A lot of people wanted Costilla County as well to kind of stay off the radar. We'll continue this point in just a moment. But I documented it, and the legal help did not present itself. The few that did wanted money. Okay. So the issue is people get concerned when off-grid counties are mentioned, because if certain people are living a certain way in freedom and the codes are a certain way, but they haven't enforced it on them, they don't want to see more people move in because they fear that, it's going to cause a problem. Well, first of all, another person moving close to them, that's its own issue. Having neighbors, people close, problems, more people, more problems, and such. But when someone wants to do things the right way and they go off grid and they start getting permits with the county, they put themselves on the radar. They're in the hood now. That's right. There's a new rooster on the prairie. There is a new human being on the land. And so applying for one permit, doing the right thing, I've been told by a lot of people in Costilla County, for example, that resulted in other visits. Oh, what else you got going on? Oh, well, you got a permit for this? And so that leads some people to really want to go all the way off the grid. So, in order for them to survive, they're like, okay, I'm not going to submit. Some people get deeply then involved in the sovereign citizen movement, common law, and from my experience again at Costilla County, we saw how some of that ideology, and it was brought in by Bruce Doucette and others, it co-opted and it derided a legal, more mindful way of dealing with the problem. Okay. If you're going to bring people, they're saying, oh, we're going to be sovereign and we're just going to declare ourselves our own this, screw you and your laws. In fact, you know what? We're going to just create our own grand jury and come and arrest you. And see, when people start coming out of the woodwork saying stuff like that, no, they may not be feds, but there's a legitimate concern there when people you don't know come into an off-grid community and they haven't been there very long and no one really knows them, and they're suggesting that people do certain things that are going to make things worse. Broke my heart to see the fact that when Daryl Carter got kicked off his land, the winter when I was staying up there, that people didn't come to his aid. So I'm going to echo this again. We need a national off-grid coalition. I realize that there are a variety of people with an interest in off-grid living that have found my videos, both past and present. So for those that are finding this one, that have computer skills, that want to build a website, that have the legal capability, there are people out there that could really use your help right now. I still get emails from people that have gone through some serious shit in Costilla County, and the county next to it, I apologize for saying it wrong, Quifano, it's the one next to it that Wilsonburg is in. And when I hear it, I can say it. It's just a matter of remembering at the moment. So someone messages me about their parents in their 60s being kicked off their property, and I don't know what to tell them about what to do about it. So my idea is that if one of you wants to take this on, and I can link to it for my current website, offgridco.com. Not maintaining it, but it's got all the Costilla County archive news. For those that are more interested in hearing about this Costilla County, go to offgridco.com. And just in order. The stories are in order of when they came out. So you go to the back and read forward, and you can get through it in probably an hour. The videos, a lot longer. But if there was a bulletin board, a forum, something well done and well trafficked and promoted by the other off-grid news websites, people got a problem, let's come up with a solution. The solution isn't more blogs with a headline saying off the grid is becoming illegal. You know how many urban people use those headlines to say, well, I'm not going off grid now. And you got to understand, there are people that are living outside regulation, and they've lived outside regulations for several years. They haven't been popped yet. And sometimes it's worth it. I mean, I want you to consider, if I get 1 year, for example, out of my property, of just living in freedom, it's worth it. If I get 2, that's a plus from that point on. Now, I'll change things up a little bit with some of the things that I'll be discussing. It's really good to be in the right spot when you actually do settle down, and I have. But it took me a while to get here. Costilla County, for example, it doesn't get a whole lot of water. This place does. This place has more trees. It's more populated with people in a way. It's less desolate. It's off the grid, but there's people around. With Costilla County, there's a resource issue, and so in the end, I'm in the right place, and I do think this is kind of a spiritual experience for me, and that it was meant to happen. But I certainly think I was meant to go through some of the other things. Going to Costilla County the first time, very powerful experience. 2012, 2013, wasn't a code enforcement issue then. It was dealing with the politics of being, a newcomer in an off-grid community and being a guest and kind of being like, oh, what are you doing here, you bum? Some of the people that were more on the mean side, I got to learn. You could take the person out of Babylon. My friend Kyle asked me to write about this, but you can't necessarily take Babylon out of the person. The programming, the Obama worship, the welfare dependence, the I don't like you, I'm going to try to, I'm going to call the cops on that motherfucker because it's like all that crap that they could have maybe healed with if they really connected with nature and connected with something. Not everybody deals with their vices and their problems and their demons. So that, I just summed up a whole lot without getting into specifics right there. Because I want to keep this moving along. People have actually asked me during those periods of travel, Alex, have you thought about an RV park? And I politely respond, this is horrible advice. Please don't just keep running around encouraging people to give their hard-earned money to an RV park. There is an RV park near here that's $400 a month. Well, they give you internet. I did it. Buy your own internet. Invest in some solar panels on your. How much power do you need? Maybe you should adapt to living with less power. So RV parks are really there for those that have the money for it and enjoy being in an RV park because they're around people like, hey, paid for that. But it's I don't know, man. It's not very manly. It's not very off-gridish to live your life in an RV park. You know what? To adapt to urban survival in a Walmart parking lot is far more of an experience that'll give you some training. Plus some nearby garbage to keep your RV clean in between your travels. That's also something that becomes a challenge. But I don't recommend living in a Walmart parking lot, but to adapt to being in your vehicle and having less power, having less entertainment, reading a book, it's minimalist lifestyle. People use different words. And so for me, it's like Zen in the art of, stepping back from the grid of work at the same job, same place, living in the same place, but moving around to different places. Not all the places have been off grid, but it's been a part of the off grid lifestyle. Some of it has been incredibly painful. Some of it has been incredibly cold. Sometimes I have smoked a whole lot of cigarettes and have stressed out too much, staring at the moon in the middle of the night, all night long, walking around some neighborhood or my RV or land in friggin' circles. By no means am I here to bullshit you. Because part of the spiritual experience of being off grid and being alone is dealing with some of those thoughts that at times can be explosive. Facing them, facing our emotions, maybe writing that book, maybe making that video, sharing that truth. And on a short note, that's why, for me, it's very important to show people you can go off grid, get your own shed. I mean, granted, you find a place where they're going to let you do that or leave you alone. Leave you alone to just be. I'm lucky enough to be here right now where that is the case. Anything can happen at any time. As far as I'm concerned, the Creator allowed this to happen because there were certain forces that had to make sure that there was an agreement. Owner financing deal with me and the actual owner. Pay a certain amount a month for the next 4 years. That doesn't happen to everybody. I can't tell other people how to get that either. I've been asked. I'm sorry. It just happened because I prayed and I worked for it. I asked all year. I got to get out of this experience of parking on BLM land. And so much of my time and energy has been dedicated to talking about world issues, victims of war, what's happening here in our country, and exposing these corrupt politicians that I inherently see as evil. I've tried my best. I'm not a perfect person. I've tried my best to speak the truest truth, to speak my truth. You may not agree with it, but it's the lifestyle that I've adapted to. So I feel like certain things that I've involved myself with have actually been good. And as a result of that, certain synchronicities came into my life that enabled me to take the baby steps that have finally led to me actually settling down somewhere and ending this period of moving, traveling. A lot of people assume that I was either on welfare or I don't know what, like begging in the street. Like, how does this guy afford? And I explain it, people don't understand. And it's really interesting when there's a synchronicity that happens where you connect with the right person at the right time. And it was very random how that whole thing happened between this associate of mine, I post news at his website, and this middleman. The middleman knew who I was. I don't even think he watched my channel. He responded to a comment on something I left, complimenting some video he did. And then he asked me if I want a job managing someone's news section of his website. One thing led to another. I'm talking to the person. I'm making a certain amount every month. And that amount has paid my gas. It's paid for other things. I had a transmission repair and this. I mean, not everybody has that opportunity. But after years of sacrificing, After years of being a rent slave in the city most of my life and working most of my life working for others in recent years, in my late 20s when it really began. And actually, I actually was 31 when I left Portland the first time. Now 36, taking a few jobs in between here and there, but in no way am I some dude from the fucking streets. And that's what a lot of people misunderstood about this last year of traveling. Oh, you're a drug addict. That's why you're going to Colorado. Actually, Colorado and parts of it's the last frontier where the code enforcers are not trespassing everywhere and threatening you to get off. Doesn't mean that the years ahead are going to be safe. The state is cracking down. We're going to be dealing with that when we deal with that. We're here and we live and we breathe just for today. It's not just an AA saying. And that's real gratitude and understanding and a acknowledgement that all things change. And I do believe that many things in this universe do happen for a reason. So my off the grid experience has been a spiritual one, and other people are going to have to connect with that to really align with where they need to be, especially at the moment. In addition, the YouTube AdSense and a few donations here and there. And then we have the website job. I'm about to spend my first winter on my own property, and my money doesn't have to come from the outside world per se, as in town or working for someone else. I did, however, take a job and work almost full time, about 2 months at a restaurant, and that paid for my barn shed. And that's the sacrifice. As soon as I created my mind, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go apply here. And I started working at that place same day, and then I saw why they had such high turnover. So I stuck in there for 2 months to save my mental health and get back to what I really do. Here I am in the RV. And so it's really almost seemed again divine, because one step is following the other, following the other. People, of course, ask me, Alex, when are we going to see the garden? When are you going to garden? And take note of when you're asking. Just got on the property and it's fall. We're going into winter. We're going to have snow on the property by next month. Spring's the time for the garden. So I don't know what I'm going to grow, but I'll tell you what, I need to come up with a plan, probably adopt some permaculture principles. Need to get more water containers and a cheaper vehicle. Maybe I'll do a fundraise for that. It would really help to put together $1,000 by the spring of 2017 for this truck pickup. I keep thinking about a Jeep. Maybe a Jeep would be fine. I can haul water in the Jeep, but there is a water station within 10 miles of where I am now. And there's some sort of adapter that I have to get. I guess it's like $50, and you connect it on that thing there. Otherwise, you have water spraying everywhere. And it's like it pumps us a outrageous amount of gallons per minute. So a lot of the growers go there. Sometimes there's a line. It's the spot where the off-gridders go to get their water without going to town. And it's a few miles from where I am now. Okay. So in response to that question, that is the plan. I guess I could haul water with the RV. That's going to be pretty messy. So hopefully I'll be able to get the vehicle and get more water containers. I was at a certain box store recently and picked up a 15-gallon drum. And when I can afford it, I'll buy more of them. I keep looking for larger ones. I have a number of the 7-gallon square and longer containers. I also took about 4 or 5 gallon soybean oil containers from work, cut the tops off, and that is to collect rainwater as well for the garden. There's also the potential of maybe doing a reservoir, some sort of a out of cement dug in the ground, or I can use tarps, dig into the ground, put the tarps down, and have, in fact, that would be perfect. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then the next step, of course, that I should be planning for as I train myself in this to become more, I think I'm already talking about food now, and I'll continue with it as we flow into adapting your diet, changing your diet. But the first year definitely be a trial year, a training year, if you will. And so canning, dehydration, picking a few vegetables. And I don't think you necessarily have to have a green thumb. I think that it's a matter of the right elements, the right time, the right place. Right soil, light, enough sunlight, enough water, enough nutrients in the soil, all those things and more right here. So feel free to let me know, what you would suggest for Southwest Colorado as far as primary vegetables to stick with, as well as some form of canning or food storage method. As far as chickens, I'll get there when I can get there. And I do intend to purchase a crossbow when I can afford it. That may not happen for months and months and months. But a 100 pound crossbow, we're in an area where elk passes through, and during a collapse situation, for example, I think that there's going to be, over time, although there'll be a lot of people hunting at once, I think there's enough meat here, unlike a lot of places. A lot of people assume they can just go to their local mountain or national park, and that may be actually be where a lot of people plan to be going at once. So again, there's a reason why some people don't want me doing videos talking about certain counties and putting it on the radar. Because with too many people coming there, you have potentials of problems. Of course, you have the outlaws that do live off grid in some cases, the meth heads and the the assholes, basically, and some people that grow that are jerks as a result because they want to protect their territory. My neighbors, for example, I suspect they're big time growers and they happen to have quite the arsenal and they make sure the neighborhood knows that because they're sending a message, don't fuck with us, don't even fucking think about it. And, it gets kind of, annoying to hear that sometimes and feel out there, damn, you guys are fucking deranged. Just fucking relax, dude. Ain't no cop. I'm just fucking living over here. But you know what? Rather deal with that and hearing my neighbor's generator and them cough down there than hearing all this freeway noise, hearing gunshots, hearing sirens, you know, um, smelling smog. I saw some report 92% of the Earth's atmosphere is polluted. I'm probably in the top 1%. I've seen the fewest chemtrails here than anywhere, period. So do I worry? Yes, I worry about the state of Colorado really becoming overrun with people. Same thing happened to Oregon. The good thing is I'm in a situation where I found somewhere where I can settle down at least. And I think that these are really challenging times for people to be moving around in their vehicles without places to land. It would be nice if some people that have the money would organize some communities so certain conscious people could find each other and get something done. For people to have to go to a place like what's that place called in Portland? Dignity Village. Yeah, not so much dignity and not a very open place. A lot of people don't understand that when they look up homeless shelters and tent cities. You're dealing with all kinds of people. And off the grid living, by the way, is not for everybody. So, with an off grid coalition, what will be nice is if people are living legally in the light. This is how we live. We're off the grid and we're within the law to where people have used their power of consciousness, power of will to, and this is really where I want to drive this point home. First of all, there's an author, a local author, who's writing about the politics of the septic system and permits, and he's talking about certain local issues, and he's raising some very important points. In fact, I'm going to be meeting him tomorrow for coffee, and we'll be talking about some of these off the grid political issues. And those are the questions that people ought to be asking. Okay, so you're asking $1,000 for this septic system, separate from the septic cost and separate from the $3,000 for some civil engineer to come inspect it. Yeah, they literally are asking for like all this money. So in the end, it's like $15,000 or $30,000. There's different estimates that I've heard from different people that have looked into it. I mean, there are some outrageous amounts, and some of it depends on your soil, and whether it'll work or not. These government officials have to constantly be addressed with the facts of the science of other safe, environmentally friendly, and more ways of dealing with what's called human waste. For human beings to be punished because of a natural substance that comes out of their body and literally be forced back, I mean, that's macabre in and of itself. And I'm making this video to address that and other issues. We need to move forward with this. So what if it sounds like Agenda 21? Who gives a damn? We need to push back. There are too many people that I've seen go, well, that sounds like Agenda 21 conspiracy. Oh my God, it's illegal to live off the grid, and that's as far as it goes. It's illegal. They're freaked out. The world's going to end. They're all going to microchill. They're going to put us back in the camps. So they stay in a camp. It's called the city without realizing, without realizing that their exposure to those kinds of headlines without actually taking time to really research places where they can go, at least for now, it's had a negative, not a positive impact on them. So I want to influence the online off-grid community to not be so just alarmist with the regulation stuff. There's apparently quite a few of us out there that care about the off-grid way of life. Well, newsflash, sunshine, boys and girls, a lot of the people in regular society don't support us. Well, people living without a fucking toilet. I just don't understand. Yeah, who's the monkey here? The person trying to be self-sufficient and live off the grid, or this person that I'm gonna flush the toilet and use 5 gallons for just a little tinkle. I'm so clean. How clean are we really? As a species and society, look at all those cities, all that smog, and big giant septic systems. Just there's got to be something else behind that. Why they want all our poop? But you know what? We won't go there. We won't analyze articles about them mining poop for gold and minerals and things of that nature. We'll just try to stay on point. But there's something behind the politics of poop that we need to know more about, that we have to be active in to educate people. Are like, well, you can't live that way without dirty that dollar. No, this is ridiculous. This is classism. This is not necessary to protect the environment. This is what's possible. So why are you really doing this? Let us connect with the earth and live a natural way of life. We're not harming anyone. What kind of career is this that some of these people have taken, where they think they have the right to tell people that you are naturally a shitty person because you shit, and we have to regulate your shit that comes out of your body and be involved with your ass in this process. Never mind the fact there's all these dogs running around shitting all over the place, but you don't hear about a state of emergency to deal with all these cats and dogs. And oh God, what about the geese? Oh my God, what about the geese shitting? Oh my God, look at all that white shit on all those. Hey, it's time for an extermination. I actually saw a guy in one of those little golf carts chasing the geese at a golf course earlier this year. Just like, oh my God, baseball. We are of the earth, at least theoretically. At least we've been here for some time. How about that? We've adapted to the earth. We're here with other animals. They're eating energy, i.e. food. They're expelling energy, i.e. waste. It goes back into the earth, something happens. And it happens again and again and again. There's like this cycle thing going down, right? So it's like we're being denied the very concepts of nature itself and how things actually work. It's like we're being taught to really be in a unnatural, unmanly, unwomanly, very robotic and clean and androgynous state of consciousness. Here, have some more cancer-causing deodorant. Ooh, you smell like a human. Here, have some minty fresh. I'm hoping that the dots are starting to connect for you. Living off the grid isn't about disaster preparedness necessarily, but it can include that. And then we won't even cover that. We won't cover earthquakes, World War III, or go down all these things. Spirituality. Let's talk about that. For me, it's a connection with the earth. For me, it's a connection with a place, a space. For me right now, it's healing from a lifetime of moving that's never ended. From when I was a kid and my parents and the broken home shit and all this shit that happened then, there's a lot of that for the first time in 36 years, I could sit here with something of my own and just be in a state of peace. To feel the trees, come back to the trees and not just be a city park, to be in a space where I'm not sharing it with a bunch of joggers and a bunch of, youngsters, like some homeless guy chain smoking, going fucking in this park. Oh, well, yeah. Just 2 years ago, folks, sitting there in that Lowerhurst Park at Portland, Oregon, praying for God's intervention, for the spirit of Portland, India to hear my cries and how much I cared about her, how much I spoke of her. spirit of Portland, now taken over by the vampires and the hipster apocalypse. I cried for her help. I came from your womb. I came from you. Please, God. And this goddess energy of Portland spirit, get me out of here. And it happened in the most synchronistic way. So when I say it's a spiritual thing, and it was like this was created for me, and it can happen for some of you if you do the work, I'm not fucking with you. And tonight may be the first time in your life that you've truly prayed for an intervention from your enslavement, coming from your environment. And I pray that your mind be open enough to what it is that I'm saying, that I am. And when I write a book, my life story will be much more clear. But this is just one chapter in a sea of chapters. Just one chapter on the DVD of life. But there is a bigger picture that I see. And I'm going to experience much better places, experiences. This is just a stepping stone. The spiritual aspect of leaving a certain part of the planet that's having a certain energetic response to say what's going on in the world, the way it's changing. Portland, for example, and to go somewhere else where you genuinely feel drawn, where you generally feel strong, where your auric field feels different, where your brain feels different, where your DNA feels different, where your appetite feels different, when your sex drive feels different or cleaner. There's like a widespread different array of physiological responses that I've noticed in my body since leaving Portland and residing in Colorado. And overall, genetically, I am a stronger human in a number of ways living here. To some of you, oh, he's traveling, he's dirty. I can't wait for what's about to happen. They have this new studio space with my new internet to where I have it there, no longer traveling around, blah, blah, blah. I'm still going to be living off the grid, but you know what? For the amount of time that I've been here and the speed at which I'm progressing, it's going to be really interesting to see where the rest of this goes. It will be interesting to see where the rest of this goes. And that's where we will end this video for September 28th, 2016. The website is alexansory.tv. We'll be back with more.